My boyfriend of 5 months went crazy when I tried to look at his phone. So, as of late, I have been having this unrelenting feeling that my boyfriend has been hiding things from me. We've been dating since April of this year, and we fell pretty hard and fast. Our relationship has gone off without a hitch, with not a single argument or disagreement as of right now. Recently, though, I've noticed that he keeps a heavy eye on his phone when I'm around. It's the only red flag I've noticed thus far. His phone is on absolute lockdown with Face ID and a very long passcode with numbers, letters, and even special characters. Even his Netflix account has a passcode. He's barely uses it around me, especially if I can see his screen. If I can see his screen, he only ever uses TikTok, Twitter or iMessage. He doesn't allow me to follow him on social media and won't even let me see his accounts. This has bothered me for a while now, especially because he has not been shy about tapping around my phone when I'm using it. In the past, I've let him use my phone and took the liberty to check my Twitter, search to see if I had Grindr or Tinder, ask me who my Snapchat friends are one by one, and even scrolled through my search history. I have absolutely nothing to hide, so I didn't think much of it. The moment I really started worrying about it was a few weeks ago when I took a few pictures on his phone, no passcode needed, then asked him to open his phone and he hit me with a stiff "Why?" while clutching his phone away. This is the moment I knew something was up. Now, I have been a little shy about asking to see his phone, but the other day we were laying on his bed and he was scrolling on Twitter while I watched and we laughed at dumb memes. Then, as he would do, I decided to reach over and open the side profile panel, and to my surprise he had not one but 3 Twitter accounts. He then immediately shut off his phone and started laughing nervously as I questioned why he needed 3 separate Twitter accounts, none of which he allowed me to follow him on. What ensued was him pleading me not to go through his Twitter. I didn't back down, and after 10 minutes of reaching for his phone and him pulling it away as he laughed a nervous laugh I had never heard before, I asked him what he had on there that he could absolutely not show me, and he said he had a porn account and another he made once but never used. He yielded under the condition that I can't hold him accountable for anything dated before we started dating. So finally he opened it and I only looked through his messages. All but one conversation was from before we met, and even that one was only a couple weeks after we met. So I didn't think much. I got what I wanted, but now, 2 days later, I realized I didn't even peek at the accounts themselves. I was so focused on the fact that he might be talking to people online and cheating on me that I didn't even consider the content he swore would negatively affect our relationship. When I finished with his phone, he let out a big sigh of relief. I missed everything he was so sure would make me leave him. Now I have an intense need to go through his phone again, but I feel like an asshole because we kind of settled everything and I would be hashing it back up. What would you do in my situation? His hysterical nervous laugh and heart pounding while I demanded he open his phone are stuck in my mind. Whatever he is or was hiding, he was sure would make me break up with him. I'm seeing him tonight and I'm demanding he open his phone again. I hate that I feel like I'm being toxic as hell, but I won't feel safe in our relationship until I know what made him act like a crazy person. I'd never seen him like that before. What do you think? Comment. He doesn't allow you to follow him on social media? Allow. That's not a word used in a healthy relationship. He goes through every contact in your phone and questions you, but you aren't allowed to see his? This seems like a pretty big hitch to me. Unless we are missing context, this seems to lack foundation. Why would you assume this? Maybe he was nervous that you were going to judge the porn that you saw him looking at or interacting with the porn accounts about it. Did you ask him why he was so nervous? If so, what did he say? Don't go through people's phones. One of the dumbest moves people make in a relationship. Just break up if you don't trust him. The only thing you're going to gain from going through people's phones is drama. I would say for your own sanity, if you don't trust him, break up. There's millions of other guys that will treat you better. What are you going to put to rest by going through it? I think you already know what you need to know. Next story 2. Why did a girl that seemed very interested in me started ignoring me after talking for 3 days? Can I do anything about it or should I move on? Basically, I noticed that the girl I was attracted in school looked a lot towards me and seemed to be pretty interested in me, so I approached her when she was walking with her friends. I just asked a dumb question I already knew the answer to, but I had it as an excuse to go talk to her. She got quite red in her face when I walked up to her and her friends seemed very surprised. That to me really confirmed that she was interested in me. We ended sitting next to each other talking. A bit later at the bus station, she had her headphones out and never checked on her phone once. We mostly talked about everyday stuff and both of us were asking personal questions. I think she was flirting a little with me a few times, but I did not find a good time to reciprocate her energy. When her bus came, she got up and looked at me with open arms. I quickly stood up and gave her a close one-arm hug. That's how she came towards me, so I just followed her movements. She leaned her head on my chest. The next 2 days we did the same thing. However, when I sat down with her at another bus station a bit away from the usual spot, this time we touched shoulders. We talked for around 5 minutes and then she suddenly just left me and walked towards her friends instead, who were also waiting for the bus. When we boarded the bus, I just sarcastically said, "Were you hot?" It was actually quite hot where we sat, but that's not why I said it. She just quickly replied with a yes. The next weird thing I noticed was that she didn't get off at the usual station where we were talking the previous week. The next days in school, she just pretended that I did not exist. She did not even look towards me. I have not contacted her and have not looked too much towards her to show her that I'm not needy. It has now been around 3 weeks since we talked last, so my question is, should I move on or should I continue with no contact for a few weeks/2 months and then contact her and tell her that I messed up by not showing as much interest as her because I didn't know how to show it? Comnet. Missed opportunity. Don't try to recover. Just figure it out so that next time things will go more smoothly. You need something to talk about that women are interested in. What was said when she walked away suddenly? Was there an awkward silence? It sounds like you either said something she didn't like or she may have gotten frustrated with the continual small talk and given up. As a former teenage girl, I know our hints are not so obvious all the time. Regardless, if she's really as cold to you as you're saying, I would let it go. Sounds like you can read her pretty well, so you'll know if there's still a chance. Yet it's hard to tell because if she does like you, she could also just be avoiding your gaze out of embarrassment as well. Are you guys friends on social media? That'd be one way to gently test the waters. If she's watching your stories, liking your posts, there still may be hope. If it's really eating at you, the only way to know for sure is to come clean about how you feel, which sometimes knowing definitively can be a bigger relief even if she turns you down. In that case, I think you should ignore everyone on here and follow your gut. Sounds like your instincts were right at the start and they probably are now. I really hope it works out. Good or bad, at least you'll know. Next story 3. GF fails to listen to my need for her to communicate with me better after multiple conversations. It's frustrating having to bring it up every time. We've been talking for about half a year, and we just met up a month ago and things went great. But lately I've noticed for the past month and a half she's been noticeably worse at texting and calling. We used to text each other a lot, but I noticed she started replying less quickly, sometimes doesn't reply to me at night and goes to sleep, accepts me to text her in the morning first. She used to do this, and she doesn't pick up my calls as much anymore. This was before we met, so I don't think it's her losing interest because then she wouldn't have met up with me and later tell me that she had a great time. But the new behavior continued after our meet-up. I brought this issue up with her at least 3 times, and every time she told me she'll try to do better. It's just that she forgets because of her ADHD. Which I don't really understand since 1. I also have ADHD and don't have this issue, and 2. She didn't act like this when we talked for the first 3 months. She tells me she loves me and wants to work it out. She even cried on call the last time I called her out on it. And just last night she didn't reply to my text after she texted me for a bit when she was out with her friends. She left me undelivered, probably because she was hanging out her friends or something, I don't know. But I know she sleeps late and she loves to use TikTok late at night, so I don't know if she was just ignoring. The next day, today, I didn't send my usual good morning text because I didn't feel like she needed it after ignoring me. Around afternoon time, she finally opened my message from last night and left me unread. She didn't reply yet after 2 hours. I don't even feel like bringing it up again for a 4th time because it's getting repetitive. LDR is hard. Why can't she do the minimum and communicate with me is all I ask for. She even told me I'm not asking for too much. I feel like lately she just chooses to hang out with her friends a lot more than with me. I feel like I'm not being prioritized or being respected because I'm always attentive to her. I just don't feel like fighting again. But I really do love her a lot and want to work this out. I don't want to end it. But how do I go about it without causing more stress when she told me she's tired of it too? Comment. Of course she hangs out more with her friends than you. You live in a different country and have met once. How about date someone in your own town? Else, adjust your expectations because it's not sustainable to expect someone to be at your beck and call. You hang out online all the time but she still can't have a day to herself without being available to you. I've done long distance when my husband was deployed and talking like once a week / having a movie date or playing a game makes sense. But when you're not together, you need to have a life. It's not healthy to just be sitting behind devices and waiting for someone to respond.